Hello, this is my EDL 853 case study for when a student's rights are wrong. So just a background on the case. This case involves a high school that serves about 3,200 students. It is the only high school in the town. A quarter of the high school is currently not ADA accessible, and that is due to trailers being used for certain classes to house students, and also the fact that the high school was built back in the 1950s, and so some of the areas cannot be updated to that standard. This case involves Miguel, who's a student athlete that was confined to a wheelchair due to a football injury. He is currently a sophomore who is pursuing college prep classes. His parents came and met with the school counselor, Miss Guzman, to discuss Miguel's return to school. At that time, they requested that Miguel have access to all his classrooms, but did not feel that any other accommodations were needed. 2 weeks after that meeting with the counselor, that is when Miguel returned to school. At that time, he was informed that his science class had changed from biology, which was a college prep class, to an alternative science class that is not college prep, and that was due to the lack of wheelchair access for the biology class. No prior notice was given to Miguel or his parents of this change, and so therefore the next day Miguel's mother was upset with the change and scheduled a meeting with the principal. Both Miguel's parents and their lawyer attended the meeting, and Miguel's mother demanded that Miguel be allowed to be back in biology because he needed it as a college prep class. She felt that it would delay his chances of getting into a university once he finished high school. And so the lawyer, Mr. Carey, that they brought with them, referenced Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And that's kind of a summary of the case. As far as legal or ethical issues go, when it comes to Section 504 and ADA, it states that a student who uses a wheelchair and requires that classrooms be accessible for his wheelchair, but performs at grade level, then he does not need specially designed instruction and does not qualify under the IDEA Act. But he still does qualify under Section 504 and the ADA Act. So the school currently is in violation of ADA and Section 504 because Miguel is being denied access to biology due to the lack of wheelchair access. I believe that an ADA coordinator and Section 504 coordinator should be involved in the meetings regarding accessibility, whether that be the special ed teacher or if there's someone else assigned to those roles, but that person needs to be involved in all the meetings that take place. And currently there is no 504 plan on file for Miguel in the school. It is not required that he have a 504 plan on file, but it's just a good way to, good documentation for the school to have. So what it comes down to is that Miguel is being denied access to biology due to the lack of accessibility for the wheelchair, and so therefore it is putting the school in violation of Section 504 and the ADA. As far as the people involved in the case, Miguel is the student in the wheelchair. Both of his parents and their lawyer is involved, along with the principal, the counselor, and the science teacher. It takes place at the local high school, and it involves the science classrooms. It is a public high school, and we are looking at college prep classes as the goal. So as far as the impact on stakeholders go, I believe it does impact all levels of stakeholders as far as this case is. First off, the science class selection could alter Miguel's college path, so it impacts him directly in that. It also affects future students by limiting access to one student now. It could also affect students in the future, and so that's something to look at. The parents do have other children in the district, and so if they are unhappy with the high school's decision for Miguel, they could choose to move their other children out of the district as well. It will have a huge community impact because currently the community is very supportive of both academics and athletics. The football team, which Miguel was the quarterback for, the community is very supportive of that football team. And so, therefore, if they hear that Miguel was denied services or did not have his needs met at the school, it could negatively impact the involvement that the community plays in the school. There could be a lawsuit that could impact the future of the school, the staff, and the students. Um, and the principal and counselor must be on the same page as far as meetings go and all decisions are made, just because they both play a huge role in that. As far as additional information that I feel is needed, first off, I question why myself as the principal was not involved in the initial meeting. Anytime a student is gone from a school and is planning on coming back to school, I feel like the principal should be a part of that meeting, especially if any changes might have to be made due to their physical or emotional state or anything like that. I'm curious as to why a 504 plan wasn't discussed at that initial meeting with Miguel's parents. That way, something could at least be put in motion, or the parents are at least aware of all the changes that will take place because of Miguel's now his confinement to a wheelchair. I question if Miguel should have been a part of the current meeting, the one that is between the principal, the parents, and the lawyer. Miguel is over 14 because he's a sophomore in high school, and at that time, those students should be invited to meetings on their behalf. And so I feel like he should be a part of that meeting. I do also wonder how many biology classes are available at the high school, being that it services 3,200 students. There are guaranteed to be more than one biology class currently offered, and so I question if that could impact the decision as far as what Miguel takes, if he's able to access biology or not. And I wonder if Miguel could learn biology in a different setting, not just in that classroom that he was in previous. So as far as the different options that I've identified and possible consequences with those, my first option is pretty much keep it the same. Keep Miguel with the schedule that the counselor had changed him to with the non-prep science class, and possibly offer biology or an alternative college prep science class next year. As far as the pros on that decision would be, I really don't see any. The parents are looking for a change. They want something positive to take place now. So keeping Miguel in that current schedule would not meet their needs, therefore leading to the cons of a possible parent lawsuit or other legal issues that may arise with accessibility. My second option is changing Miguel's schedule so he can have access to biology. I believe in order to do that, it would have the pro of meeting both the parents' desire and Miguel's needs and wants. The cons to that, though, is it may limit other class offerings or change multiple classes in his schedule because his current biology class is not wheelchair accessible, but if an alternative one is, it may not be during that same time in the day, so his schedule may have to be altered even more. The third option that I feel is to find an alternative college prep science, so maybe not biology, but something that still has that college prep label to it. That's kind of the concern that the parents have. So I believe the pros would be that it would still meet Miguel's needs without making other adjustments to his schedule if there's one offered at the same time. But the cons could be that if he didn't have biology, it might change his ability to attend certain colleges, and the parents may not like that option because their whole focus was to get him back in that biology class. A fourth option would be to allow Miguel to take biology, but do it in an alternate setting. I feel like this has the pro of meeting Miguel's needs, and giving the least amount of adjustments. Um, it can be more individualized that way. But the cons with that is it does not allow for the least restrictive environment to take place. And because he might be in an alternative setting, and then the science teacher's ability to provide the curriculum that he needs in that alternative setting. And then my last consideration option would be to schedule a meeting to set up a 504 plan for Miguel so that his current and future needs can be best served in the school. So I feel like as far as the pros go, that shows a concern for Miguel's needs and his wants when it comes to classes and school accessibility. But on the con side of things, that might delay decision making and address that there are certain current needs that cannot be met based on the school design and structure. And parents are looking for results now. So if there's any type of delay, that could again force the parent's hand into some type of lawsuit claim. So looking at the 5 different choices, I decided to find a better way to offer biology, possibly in an alternate setting, more than likely in an alternate setting. And that was in order to promote Miguel's college path, his future. I would also go ahead and schedule that meeting for a 504 plan to be established for Miguel because I believe it will be needed for his next 2 years of high school. And it's just really good to have that documentation in place to not only support the student and the parents, but also support the school. And then I would make sure to involve Ms. Guzman, the counselor, in that decision-making process and all of the meetings, along with consulting the special education teacher for possible alternative settings that department may have to offer. So for the impact of implementation, I believe that my choice does have a positive impact. I feel that I am meeting the parents' needs and Miguel's needs and wants with the decision I'm making. I am trying to avoid any legal issues or lawsuits by putting the focus on Miguel and putting his needs first. That's the primary concern right now. I do want to establish documentation because that is extremely important with cases like this. And I also want to have shared involvement with the counselor and special ed teacher being a part of those decision-making process and those meetings. And again, I want to make sure that I have that positive rapport and I keep that positive rapport with all stakeholders. So I believe I addressed the standard. I met the standard because I evaluated the situation, considered all possible outcomes, and eventually advocated for the student by providing options that support his current and future educational success while also considering his limitations with the physical needs that he had. And these are the resources that I used. Thank you.